All right, so there's guys out there who get into software engineering because they see that it pays well early on. They see it as an opportunity to provide for their family, and they may really want to move out. So then they're good, they want to get into software engineering, make that money, so they can move out. But they don't understand the reality of the career they're getting themselves into. So they may even get into the industry, but they may hate it, and then it's too late for them to realize they made the wrong decision. Whereas there's other guys out there who work hard, but they know the reality of the industry they're getting themselves into. So then they work hard, they get the rewards, and they enjoy a great career. I'm going to talk about the difference here specifically. I'll talk about what professional software engineers actually do, right? I've been in this industry for a little over 2 years now, so I hope my insight will help you out. And without further ado, let's dive into it. I remember clearly, I had just started my first internship, right? So I have my laptop open and I'm talking to my coworker. And he's telling me, oh, yeah, man, just clone this repository. And then after that, we're going to download some packages from like Maven and these dependencies. And I'm like, what the are you talking about? Obviously I didn't say that, but this is how I was thinking in my mind, right? And then I got my first task that was assigned to me, and basically I needed to add on to the code base, right? To add some feature or something, right? Now this leads me to the first point, which is probably going to be not very surprising, but a lot of software engineering is coding specifically. There's going to be either an already built system where you have to fix bugs or add features, or you're going to be building a software system from scratch, right? That's usually the work. Now, this is quite a bit different from the type of coding you will see, say, if you've been doing free code camp or something like this, or the type of coding that you would see in school. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in school or in free code camp or these online tutorial websites, they're either guided in the case of some of the online websites, or for school, they'll give you an assignment like, go build a calculator app. And you can just build it from scratch, right? So you get a blank slate, you can build it from scratch, take it whatever direction you want, and hand it in, right? Real work is quite a bit different. You'll be thrown into a code base, which may have code from like 20 years ago, written by engineers who haven't been with the company for like 10 plus years, right? And they may not have documented anything. So you'll have no context on the code. The best way I can really describe it is pretend that someone gives you like a big paper, 5, 10 stack, like research paper or something, and they just highlight like a paragraph from it. And they say, oh, I need you to fix this paragraph, or I need you to add on to this paragraph. When you see this research paper, you're gonna be like, what the? Is this like, I don't have any context here, So you're gonna have to read that full research paper, and anything that paper references, you're gonna have to read that, and anything that the paper that referenced that paper, you're gonna have to read that. And before you know it, you may be like 5, 10 papers in, right? You may have spent like 5 days, 10 days, hell, even a few weeks before you understood the paper well enough to add on to it. Coding is very similar, right? You're going to be thrown into a code base. Your initial reaction will be, what the is all this? You're going to be going back, you're going to be looking at the contacts, asking employees questions, and finally you'll be able to understand what's going on. Now, I do want to throw something out there because the previous me would have heard this. And it would have been like, oh, I've been worried, like, oh, am I smart enough to do this? Will I be able to do this? And I just want to assure you, you are smart enough to do this, right? I know that there's people online who'll say, oh, you got to be a genius to get into software engineering. You got to have a 200 IQ, bro. Like, no, take that thought out the window. These people, I swear, the ego on them is insufferable, right? That's how I really feel about it, because they equate just becoming a software engineer, because obviously they've become software engineers at this point, as like, oh, they're the super intelligent being or something. Now, if they were to say that not everyone is capable of becoming like creating like the next chat GPT, of course I'd agree, right? Like, there are some people that are smarter than others, and so I'm not disagreeing with that. But just becoming a software engineer, and hell, becoming a software engineer that makes good money, there's a million and one companies out there that are hiring, right? So you're trying to tell me that even if we assume an average person, hell, even if you want to say below average intelligence, right? If they grind at it, yes, I recognize some people are naturally smarter. Some people have to work maybe a little bit less hard. Some people have to work harder, right? I recognize that. But with enough hard work, I truly believe anyone can make it in this field, right? And frankly, some of these people that I've seen in like Reddit and stuff who tout this, like, oh, you got to be smarter, you got to be this smart to be a software engineer. And you look at the company they're working at, and it's like some no name company, right? And I'm not trying to talk shit about no name companies. Hey, work wherever you want. I'm just saying, if you're gonna be like, oh yeah, you got to be super smart to be a software engineer, and you're working at a company that literally is trivial to get into, like, come on, man. Like you get what I'm saying. Like, then are you really that smart? You know. So anyway, I don't even want to get into that. I'm not trying to talk shit, but trust me, you and I know better, and we know that with hard work, this is beyond possible, right? So don't let any of the those comments and such discourage you. Now, the next thing that I remember is at one of my jobs, I was tasked with a project. I was given a rough outline of what I needed to do, right? And I put together this document, put a lot of hard work into it, and I sent it off for review. And it got absolutely roasted. Got roasted to like, man, it was burned to the ground, right? Like it got roasted. And it took me like up to a quarter to get alignment with all the stakeholders, make sure everyone was on the same page, make sure the project was looking good. And then I finally got approval, the green light to start working on some of the things, right? This leads me to the second point. Software engineering, at least in my experience, has been a whole lot of writing documentations, right? It's just like, think of it like real engineering. Like before you build a bridge, you're going to make like the blueprints and all those things, and then you're going to send those off for review, and they're going to get reviewed, they get approved, and then you start working on the bridge. Similarly, in software engineering, you're going to propose an addition, a new feature, or a new system, and then it's going to be sent off for approval. It'll get roasted. It'll come back, and then you're going to go through those iterations till you finally get approval, right? So there is going to be a good amount of documentation writing in the process, and this leads me to an important point. There's people who say, "Oh, if you want to be a software engineer, just lead code all day. Just focus on the coding." Like, no, right? These people don't understand the major importance communication skills play in this game, right? And I'm not trying to act like I have some sick social skills or something. To be honest with you, that's like I would say one of my weak points. Like I have social anxiety, and so this isn't something that comes naturally to me, right? But it's something I've worked on. And again, I've been just fine in the industry, so it is something. If you can relate to what I'm saying, maybe social skills are a bit of a sticking point for you as well. Then don't trip over that. You'll be just fine. But of course, it'll take a little bit more effort. Just like with anything, some people are better at certain things than others. Some people have better social skills. It'll come more naturally to them. Others, it'll take a little bit more practice. Now, the next thing is meetings, right? I'm not gonna dive deep into it. That's self-explanatory. But depending on your company's culture and your workload at the time, and even your seniority level, right? Like senior engineers tend to have a lot more meetings than junior engineers, so things like this. So depending on those factors, you'll have more or less meetings. But meetings are definitely a part of the equation. Now, another thing that I remember is when I had started one of my jobs, I became what is called the on point, right? Now, different companies have different names for it, but the long and short of it is you become the point of contact. It's usually some sort of rotation. Ours was a weekly rotation. And for that week, you become the point of contact for any systems that your team owns. So if other teams have questions about the systems, they'll come to you, and you'll either answer that question or delegate it accordingly. The goal with this kind of rotation is that when other individuals, they have questions about our systems, your team systems, that the responsibility doesn't just fall on one individual's shoulders to always answer that question, right? So if you have a rotation, everyone is kind of answering it equally. And also there's one person always there whose job is solely to provide those responses, to provide prompt responses, right? Now, when I became on point, I got like thrown back to my customer service days, right? Because my phone was just blowing up with questions all the time. Oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you tell me about this? Right? And I did not enjoy it. Like, I'm just gonna be frank with you. I did not enjoy customer service whatsoever, right? I just didn't. So this was one of the less enjoyable parts of the job for me, if I'm being completely honest. And who knows? Maybe the company you go at won't have this. I'm not sure if this is like a thing that a lot of companies do, but it was just something that was prevalent in my experience. So even if your company doesn't have this, there will be some like more customer service type of things you'll have to do. Again, at some companies a little more, maybe at other companies a little less, but they will exist. So just something to be aware of there. Now, I just want to end this video off by saying, be kind to yourself throughout this process, right? Look, I remember I got into software engineering because I was working a customer service job at the time, and I absolutely dreaded going into work every single day. I had to commute an hour, 30 minutes, just to get yelled at by customers, and then commute an hour and 30 minutes back, right? Just to get paid a little above minimum wage. And I was thinking about getting into policing, and I looked at the lifestyle of a police officer where, you're working shift work, you're working like 12-hour days, night shifts, right? And even they have to deal with some pretty harsh conditions, right? In terms of dealing with people and a lot of conflict situations. So the work-life balance there is pretty challenging, right? So I was like, I don't want to go into policing. I definitely don't want to keep doing this customer service job for basically peanuts, right? So at that point, I decided to go towards software engineering. All I was thinking about at that point was the money, frankly, right? And all the things I mentioned with the previous guy about like the fact that it pays well, about the fact that I could provide for my family, about the fact that I'd finally be able to move out. Those were my only motivations to go into this stuff, right? And I don't have like an analytical background, right? I failed multiple high school courses, didn't graduate high school on time. I failed a college course. I was a super average college student. When I got into computer science, I literally had to start learning math from the elementary school level, and then I built my way up, right, to where I could actually do decently well on my CS math courses, right? And I ended up doing pretty well. So when I started, I barely knew elementary school math, and I ended up getting A plus in one of my CS math courses, right? So it took a lot of hard work. So I'm not going to deny and say that hard work is not necessary. Hard work is necessary. Focus is necessary, right? Those are essential components. Hard work, focus, consistency. Those are essential components. But whenever I would say I would slip up and I'd maybe not study as much as I wanted to, or maybe I'd had like little slip ups here and there. Maybe I had an interview I didn't quite perform, or I had an assignment and I didn't quite do well on it. I would start beating myself up, calling myself all sorts of negative things in my mind. Like I'd get caught up in negative thought cycles very easily, right? Very easily. So that's the point I'm trying to make when I say be kind to yourself. You know, stay positive. As long as you're making progress, as long as you're putting one foot in front of the other, be proud of yourself for that. Because a lot of people will start this journey, they'll stick with it for like 2 months, and then they'll drop it like a hot potato, right? You and I, we're gonna see it through till the end, and we're gonna get what we want, right? Stick with it. Again, day in, day out, day in, day out. You won't see the results like when you're working through it. You're not going to see the results right away, right? You're going to be putting in effort day by day by day by day by day, maybe even for months, maybe even like a year plus. And it may seem like it's not paying off, but trust me, if you're putting one foot in front of the other, your hard work will pay off. Hard work always pays off, and this will be no exception. So again, keep working hard. Be proud of yourself every single day you show up, and I have no doubt that you'll make it in this field. Now, I just want you to imagine for a second. Imagine you take this advice, you run with it, and your money is growing day by day by day, right? You're finally able to move out like you wanted to. You have money to like go out on dates. You have money to like go out with friends, right? Your life is improving day by day by day because now you can, again, you have the money to do the things you always wanted to do. Whether you want to travel, whether you want to buy a new car, like whatever it is that you want to do, you now have the opportunity to do that, and you're set for life because you have this high income skill in coding that you can always fall back on, right? And most importantly, your confidence in yourself is improving day by day by day, right? Because when I started this computer science stuff, again, due to my horrific academic track record and the fact that I had accomplished literally nothing else in my life, if I'm being honest, no one thought that I would be able to do it. People, people were supportive on the surface, but deep down, I could tell that even people like my family members didn't think I would actually be able to do it. And they even told me that after I got my job and everything was all gravy, they told me like, yeah, we didn't really think you'd be able to pull it off, but you pulled it off. And I'm like, okay, thanks, I guess. But again, don't let the negativity seep in. Keep working hard, and I'm confident you'll be able to make it. Right now, ultimately, I want this to be our positive little community where we help each other, support each other, and help each other get to the next level in life. So please come join the community. I'll leave my Instagram, TikTok in the description, also somewhere here. Please do support there as well. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Seeing my subscribers grow greatly fuels my ego, which is very nice. I'll talk to you later. Peace.